Good afternoon, everyone. Maayong hapon sa tanan. I would like to remind our participants that the virtual conference will start shortly. So while waiting for the other participants to arrive, allow me to greet all of the participants that we have, especially from schools with the most number of participants. We have one from New Era University in Quezon City. Good afternoon to all of the participants from New Era. We also have from General De Jesus College in San Isidro, Nueva Ecija. We also have a great number of participants from Cebu Technological University, San Francisco Campus, in San Francisco, Cebu, and in Barile. We also have participants from University of Northern Philippines in Vigan City, Ilocos Sur, Batangas State University, Biliran Province State University, St. Joseph School Foundation Incorporated in Zamboanga City. We also have a great participants from Cagayan State University, Capi State University, Corregidor Elementary School, Eastern Visayas State University in Leyte, Lope Tequial Senior Central Elementary School in Libungan, Cotabato. We also have participants from Mindanao State University, Notre Dame of Marbel University, Philippine Normal University, and President Ramon Magsaysay State University. I'm also greeting here all of our participants that are presently tuning in live in YouTube at the official YouTube channel of POMMI and also here in Zoom. We have Sir Elenuel Vinova. Good afternoon po. Sir Charlie Dayon. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone from Vivian Estares. We have here a participant from University of Southern Mindanao, Ma'am Girlie Tikbe. Good afternoon, ma'am. Sir Dennis Opolinar. Hello, everyone. And good afternoon from Palawan State University in Rojas Campus from Sir Ledwin Ray Ledesma. We also have from New Era University, Ma'am Leia Octoman. Good afternoon, ma'am. And from Southern Philippines Agribusiness and Marine and Aquatic School of Technology in Malita, Davao Occidental. Good afternoon, Sir Glenn M. Demilio. We already have here 56 participants in Zoom, and for sure this number will continue to increase, especially at the beginning of the last part of our conference. Again, good afternoon, everyone. We are now on the final session of our two-day national conference on research. We will officially start at 2 p.m. and hopefully to end at 3:30 in the afternoon. For the last time, allow me again to remind you that your microphone should be muted at all times. Aside from that, we want you also to conform to the following rules for this conference. 1. Opening of camera is recommended. 2. Always mute your microphone. 3. Use headphones or earphones. 4. Find a seat or location that is comfortable and well lighted. 5. It is advised to wear business or smart casual attire. 6. Finish the whole virtual conference and complete the evaluation form for you to get your certificate. 7. Always direct your concern through personally message or PM on our page or our email address so we can provide answer to your concern. For sure, every one of you here will agree that the early discussions were able to provide us newer insights, especially on areas that most of us are less aware of. Just this morning, we had a great discussion from Professor Samosa on his talk about recalibrating research for the new normal using experimental design. This afternoon, I believe, is equally important to that of our previous sessions. This for sure is one of the goals we have as educator or researcher, to have our product be published and seen on journals. So to the more than around 300 confirmed participants we have, and to those who are presently tuning in live at the official channel of POMMI in YouTube, good afternoon. So I think it's time for us now to officially start the last part of our national conference. We will proceed now to the introduction of our speaker. But before we formally introduce to you our speaker, I would like everyone again listening to the different platforms we have to effectively and responsibly use the chat function in raising your questions. You can write your questions or insights while our speaker is having his discussion. But again, expect it to be answered during the question and answer portion. We will be having the open forum after the speaker's presentation. And to those who would like to personally ask questions, you may also press the raise hand button and we will be notifying you ahead if you're recognized. So, without further ado, let us have now Professor Emijan Indonila Palmani, National President of PIES I-21, to introduce to us our last resource speaker for our conference. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Hello, good afternoon, sir. Can you hear me? Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. We can hear you, ma'am.
Thank you. So good afternoon. It is an honor to introduce to you our fourth speaker for this national webinar. Our speaker finished his PhD in Educational Management, Master of Business Administration, and Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering from the University of San Agustin, Philippines. He is an active researcher and his research interests lie in educational management, leadership, and organizational behavior. He is a member of the National Research Council of the Philippines under Social Science Division. He had published research articles in international peer-reviewed journals with citation indexes. He had presented research papers in national and international research conference and received Best Research Paper Awards. He is a member of the editorial board in International Education Studies published by Canadian Centre of Science and Education. He has also served as peer reviewer in Recoletta's multidisciplinary research journal with a Science Citation Index, Philippines Association of Institution of Research and African Educational Journal. He had served as a resource person in both national and international conferences, seminars, and faculty development programs. Ladies and gentlemen, to talk about research publication in peer-reviewed journals and research presentation, we have Dr. Irul Ryan. Let us all give him a virtual round of applause. Thank you, Sir Jack.
Thank you, ma'am. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. Greetings from India. Sir Jose, could you please allow me to share my PPT?
Yes, sir. We already provided you a host power.
Okay. First of all, am I audible? Please confirm. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, sir. We can hear you, sir.
Okay. First of all, I would like to congratulate the organizers of this virtual conference and all the participants. Thank you for having me for this session. It is my pleasure to join you during this virtual conference. I have two topics here to discuss. One is the research publication in peer-reviewed journals. The second one is research paper presentation in international conferences. Okay, the first topic is peer-reviewed journals in research publication in peer-reviewed journals. Friends, this lecture also includes my little experience in research publication. The main purpose of this lecture is also to motivate you, each one of you research scholars, to involve in research publication. So this will be our agenda for today in this session. So we will be looking at why do we need to publish research papers, and how do we plan your research articles? How do we submit the research paper? What is the editorial process? What about the production and publication of these papers, the impact and citation? Okay, the first,
Sorry to interrupt you, sir. Can we
yes,
have the presentation be visible in a full screen?
okay, sure, sorry, sure.
Okay, sir. Sorry, sir.
Okay, now,
It's already okay, sir.
okay,
Thank you, sir.
okay, okay. So why do we need to get our papers published? There are several reasons for us to publish our research papers, but there are few important reasons to publish our papers. One thing is it adds prestige. Once you publish your paper, that will help you to stand out among your peers. Am I right? When you start publishing your papers, you will be able to connect and collaborate with other scholars. That's my experience too. And also, it will give you more confidence as a researcher. The second thing, it will give you recognition. The more you will get citations, you will be able to establish in the field more firmly. And it also will help you in your academic job and later promotion in your existing job. If you're looking for higher studies, planning to enroll in higher studies, it will also help you in the enrollment, the top schools. Writing good quality papers will also improve your writing skills. So that improves your soft skills. Another important reasons to publish is that whatever we find in our research studies, it is not for us just to keep it to ourselves. We need to disseminate the information. We need to share those novel ideas or the findings so that others also can utilize them and improve them for the greater good of the world. So these are the main reasons to publish our papers. But other than this, there is another important reasons to publish our papers. For those who are in the higher education, those who are working in the colleges and universities, you might have heard this phrase that publish or perish. Now it is a requirement. The CHED requires these colleges and universities, particularly the faculty, to publish papers. The three functions of the college and the university faculty: instruction, extension, and publication, research publication. I worked in the Philippines for the last 20 years, and I have many collaborators and research scholars who are my friends even now. We are able to collaborate, and currently we are also involved in research paper producing and publications. We have now partnership or collaboration with the Recoletos, San Jose Recoletos University in Cebu. So other than these reasons, what is the other reason to publish? As I said, it is a requirement. So this is maybe probably the most common driver, because we are required to publish our papers. Now, understanding why do we need to publish, we need to understand also how to plan our articles for publication. Actually, it requires another schedule or topic to be discussed, because preparing a research article is not that easy. It might take few months. It might also take few years. Those who are already have produced a thesis or dissertation, you know the process. Okay, so generally, what type of article should we choose to publish? Yes, full articles, meaning they are substantial, complete, comprehensive pieces of research. Or is my message sufficient for a full article? We need to answer to this question. There may be also quick and early communications. Maybe in your research, you have found some thrilling findings or results that you want them to be shown as soon as possible. You can also publish them. There are also review papers, but these are often submitted by invitations. The journals will invite the scholars or the authors for review. And then the other part is the thesis or dissertation. You can publish your thesis or dissertation. Uh, you know, the thesis or the dissertation may be uh, 300 or 150 or 200 to 300 pages of writings, okay? But you have to, in journal article, you will be required to submit only 10 to 15 pages. So from the 300 pages, you have to comprise your thesis or dissertation into 10 to 15 pages of meaningful message. While planning your article, we must remember the message that we present in our article that must be clear, useful, and exciting. Because our writings will be read by the editors, reviewers, and the readers. All of them, they want a meaningful manuscript. It must be logical, and it should have significance. Generally, in planning to write your article, you must understand the journals require, or the journals have certain formats for the journal article. What I have presented here is the general one, a common one, but this might vary from journal to journal. It is slightly different from our thesis or dissertation writing. The journal article should have a title, it should have abstract and with keywords. It has a section introduction. I will slightly share this in the next slide. And it should also have the method or methodology. This is a very important section in journal articles. And then the results section where you can present your data in figures or table. Then the discussion part, conclusion, and references. So as I mentioned, this will be slightly different from writing a thesis or a dissertation. The text here may be blurred, but I will be explaining to you. So in the introduction point, first in the abstract, it should be comprehensible by itself. It should have a slight introduction, method, results, and conclusion. Some journals require the abstract to be 150 to 200 words only. So you have to develop a skill in writing your abstract. Even if you submit your paper for presentation in international conferences, they will ask you first to submit an abstract. So the abstract should be attractive, should be meaningful. The second part is the introduction, where you will explain the current state of knowledge with the references, which means you have to present the current state of knowledge on the topic with related studies or literature. And you also will be able to identify the gap in knowledge that you wish to fill in your study. In other words, present the research problem in your introduction part, then outline the objectives as to what are the primary objectives and the secondary objective. In methodology, you will be asked to describe in detail what you did and how you did your study. Also, detailed selection criteria for study of population, meaning the sampling that you used in your study. Describe also the instruments that you used in your study. The detailed endpoints as to primary and secondary. Ethical considerations must be outlined in methodology and described in a dedicated paragraph. In the results section, you will provide the study results. In thesis, we generally, after we present our findings, we present the commentary and interpretation. But in journal articles, please avoid presenting your interpretation in the results section. Just present the result. Keep a result for every method presented in previous section and use appropriate illustrations like tables and figures. Again, we need to limit the number of tables in journal articles. In a thesis writing, we may have 15 to 20 or sometimes 28 tables, but you will not be able to, you're not supposed to present all the tables in a journal article. Just you need to present the important findings in the table or figure. Then in discussion part, start with a recap of your main findings, put your results in perspective with the other reports in the literature, meaning show if your finding is in line with the previous studies or if there is any contradiction with the findings. We need to also explain in the discussion section the significance of the results and how they contribute to the overall state of the knowledge. Then in the reference sections, list all your sources that you used in your work. So this is a little outline and framework of a journal articles. As I mentioned, these might vary from journal to journal. Look at the journal websites. In the journal websites, they have guidelines as to what type of papers they accept and what about the rules that required to submit a paper and the format of the paper. Everything is given in detail. So once we understand how to plan your research article, then we will be able to submit our papers for publication. So this part, planning your article, generally takes time. As I mentioned, it might take from 3 to few months. It might also take years to prepare an article. So as I mentioned, the submission part is not that easy. Once you have prepared your article, you need to make sure your article is perfect. Do not submit articles which need corrections, which are with errors. So we need to revise. The best suggestion that I can give to the scholars is you revise the work and then bring it to experts. Maybe you have colleagues in your universities or your departments, you have friends, ask them to review. Maybe they can give feedbacks, then you revise. Once you feel it is perfect, that's the time that you can submit to the journal, because journals will not be very happy to receive papers which are not in good standard. If they're under standard, the editor will immediately reject your paper. So in submission process, you need to submit with a covering letter, because a covering letter helps you to speak directly to the editor. You may explain the main findings and the motivation of the study. You can also mention the highlight the novelty and significance of the results from the study. It should be with the final approval of all the co-authors. You may also state prior reviews if there were any, and note any special requirements. If you suggest any referees, sometimes it is considered, and also state any conflicts of interest in the paper. Okay, I'm ready to submit. And how do I submit? How do I choose the right journal to submit? Well, you need to aim to reach the intended audience for your work. Who are your audience? And you need to choose only one journal, as simultaneous submissions are prohibited. In my first publication, I was so excited that I sent my papers to at least 3 journals. Then my advisor, Dr. Ruby D. Catalan, she was my advisor, and then she advised me not to do that. I was not aware, but it is not allowed, okay? Therefore, we need to submit our article to only one journal at a time. Who can help you? Your supervisor, your colleagues can help you. I always look up to my professors, and I saw some of them were interested in publication. I follow their footsteps. So look for a mentor, look for a supervisor who can guide you in your first publication. You might also shortlist a handful of candidate journal. My suggestion is please read journal articles. If you have no idea of a journal article, it will be very difficult to publish your own article. So in my case, I read at least 2 journal articles a day from morning till evening. Maybe the academia helps me, adds to my inbox in my email, because the more I search for topics and review of literature, I also receive a lot of emails. Then I have chance to read them all. So it helps you, it gives you a clear idea about the topic and the journal, and then you can also choose the journals accordingly. So reading a journal article in a journal will help you to choose also a right journal. As I mentioned, in the journal website, there is a clear description of the aims and scopes of the journal. So please read them. Uh, Types of article considered also will be mentioned, the readership, the subscription, whether it is subscribed or open access. There are so many journals which are open access. There are also journals which are with subscription. It also matters to us to the speed of publications. If you pay, the speed of publication is higher, faster. Okay, in some journals, it takes time, particularly those journals with a high quality. They take time to publish your paper. Sometimes it takes months, 6 months to review your paper. But there are journals which publish within a week because you pay them. Those are considered to be low quality journals. Also look at the peer review process, whether it's single blind or double blinded. Double blinded means the author does not know who will be the reviewer. The reviewer also doesn't know who will be the author. Okay. Also look at the bibliometrics of the journal. Is there a publication fee? Yes and no. As I mentioned, some journals do not require publication fee. Particularly in my experience, the journals which are under the Commission on Higher Education, because they receive a research fund and they do not charge any fees for publication. But the review process is rigorous, very strict. So which means those journals have quality. So you no need to pay any fees for that. My last article I submitted at the Recoletos journal. I did not pay any fee. It's free. If you don't know where to submit or you want to survey any options, you can get into any of these websites. You can also look at the Google Scholar ResearchGate. So they will provide information on where to publish your papers. Typically, we submit our research articles through email. So this is you can also submit through the electronic portal, but most of the journals, they allow you to submit through email. So once article is submitted, now it's over to the journal editors. You can now relax. Let us look at what is the editorial process in research publication. So this is a feeling that many research scholars will have when they submit their research papers. Isn't it? Is it interesting? Or is it disturbing? How do you feel? So, but let us look at how the editorial process takes place. Now, the author first submits the research paper to the editor. The editor looks at the paper based on the basic requirements. The editor has a choice to make. He can accept, he can say yes, or he can say no. If it meets the basic requirements, the editor will assign reviewers. Okay. Now, the reviewers will receive the review papers. We are not provided, me as a reviewer, we are not provided any names of the author. We are only provided a number, manuscript number. Then we are given maybe 10 to 15 days to review the paper. And then we provide the review comments, because we also have certain guidelines, the review forms. So we answer to those questions in the review forms. Then we give you our review comments. The editor collects the reviewer's recommendations, and then he can still make a decision. He can reject or he can accept. If he rejects, sometimes the rejection also requires some revision in the paper. So you are given time to revise, okay? Or sometimes you are asked to resubmit your paper for publication. So again, it will follow the same process. Once your paper is accepted, before that, if you are asked to revise, the revisions may have a major or minor. Please read the reviewer's comments carefully. Referee's comments should not be seen as a negative criticism. Please do not take them personally. No personal attack here. Even when we review the research papers, we are advised to be more objective, not subjective. We do not even mention the author. We only mention objectively the paper needs clarity on this part. This part can be improved. Okay, so we don't attack the author or the scholar. Not all changes have to be made, but they require convincing arguments for changes not made. If it is rejected, don't worry. This is only a first step. We can work on. Maybe they are rejected based on some technical or scientific issues. Maybe unclear or unimportant motivation. Maybe the paper lacks novelty or originality. It could be that conclusions do not support the data. So these may be the reasons, and we can work it out and we can make improvements. So what is the peer review? Who are the peer reviewers? A peer review helps to determine the quality, validity, and significance of the paper. In my opinion, also, it helps to improve the quality of the paper. Who are the peer reviewers? The peer reviewers are not really experts somewhere from the moon. They are also like any one of us. They are also research scholars. They are publishers. We are at the same level, but they involve in peer review. In peer review, a kind of a format that we use to review the papers. It might also vary from journal to journal. So the paper should have novelty. It should be comprehensive. It must provide accuracy. And also it should have the structure as required by the journal. And then based on all these results, the journal editor will make the final decision. He can make also recommendation. He can accept. He can also ask for a minor revision or major revision, or he can also reject the paper. So these are some of the roles of the peer reviewers. They are asked to check for this. Is the motivation clear, and is it important? So I mentioned that already. Are there any ethical questions? Should anything be added or removed? So it's a long process. At the end of the review task, you will be provided the review comments from the reviewer. How are these reviewers chosen? Well, the journals editors, they have connections with the authors. um, Sometimes if you start publishing your papers, you may receive invitations to be a reviewer. In my experience, uh, I received several invitations from even from Africa and uh, Taiwan, um, China. We receive invitations to review. It, it depends on your expertise. The more you publish your papers, the journals, they know that you are expert in the field. At sometimes the reviewers also are recommended by the experts who are already reviewers. Sometimes the journals will inquire other experts if there are any experts to review the papers. I have recommended at least to 2 to 3 reviewers. There was one, Dr. Jonathan P. Ong from Ramblon State University. I recommended him twice to review a paper in a Canadian journal, because at times we may not be expert in every field. So when you feel, if I'm given a task to review and then I feel I cannot review the paper, I don't have the expertise, I must admit it. I must admit it to the editor, and then the editor would write to me again if I can refer any other uh, reviewers to review the paper. Now, benefits of being a reviewer, all of us, since all of us are interested, that's the reason why that we are participating in this virtual conference. Then once we involved in research activity, then we start publishing. Next, prepare to become a peer reviewer. So which means we all have the potentials to become a peer reviewer. What are the benefits of being a peer reviewer? Well, it adds a scientific prestige. In workplace, you may have promotions. You may have opportunity to work in research industries. And most importantly, you also will have a chance to read first-hand scientific manuscripts, which are not yet published, but you will have a chance to read. And you also have the opportunity to serve the academic community. Because in peer review, there is no fee, there is no pay. You are not paid to review a paper. That is the bad news. Is it a bad news or good news? It's not always about money, right? That is our contribution to the academic community. Generally, no journals will pay for the peer review, but the peer review process will take your time. It will take your time and energy to review a paper. There are some journals also have a small honorarium for the peer review. If they are funded, example, if a journal is funded by the Commission on Higher Education, there is a fee allotted for the peer review. It's a small amount, but still it is a contribution to the reviewer. Remember, there are ethical responsibilities for all actors in the publication process. The editors have their responsibility, the authors have their responsibilities, the referees or the peer reviewers have their own responsibilities, and the publisher have their role. So for the editors, they must ensure efficient and fair processing. They must ensure confidentiality. They will make the final decision on a submission or a rejection or acceptance. They must ensure a fair selection of referees, no bias, no conflict of interest. And there should not be any scientific misconduct. They must deal fairly with author appeals. On the side of the authors must ensure that they gather data and interpret the data in an honest way. Due recognitions to published work must be given. The authors must acknowledge all the contributors to the papers. So these are some of the things that the authors must keep in mind. I will be sharing this PPT with the organizers, so maybe the participants can have a copy of it later. So the reviewers' responsibility, they must also ensure confidentiality. They are not supposed to withhold a referee report for personal advantage, because we are all research scholars. They must return the review comments to the editor, not to contact the authors. As I mentioned, the reviewers must inform the editor quickly if not qualified. Generally, we are given 3 days when we receive a paper for, when we receive a invitation to review a research paper, we are given 3 days to reply to the editor. In my case, the first day I read it, then the second day again I read it, and if I feel I'm not confident to review, maybe in terms of statistics or the topic, I immediately inform the editor, okay, so that the editor will have other choices. And also, the reviewers must explain and support recommendations. Some journals are very strict with these review comments. If we have a findings, we must mention what is the finding, what is the page number, what is the line number. And for every recommendations or every comments, we should have evidence. So they are very strict. These are the ethical misconduct. So please remember them. No falsification of data, fabricating data, plagiarism, okay, image manipulation, authorship misinterpretation, no duplicate of publication, because the penalties can be severe. So once the editorial process is done, and then there is copy editing, typesetting, correction, and then print product, or you will receive the material as an online product. After the revision, before the editing, copy editing, the journal editor will send you a copy for proofreading. Okay, once you give your consent, then that's the time they will process the copy editing, typesetting, and the correction, and then will be printed. So is the game over? What you do after your publication, you need to market your article. I'm just kidding. You must track the impact of your article. I'm sure that you are familiar with these citations, that your work, which are published in research journals, peer-reviewed research journals, will be also cited by other authors. So this is the old version. Sometimes publishers or research scholars who publish their papers, they look for citations. Similar to the Facebook, we look for likes. Once we post a picture, a video, we look for how many likes that do I have. But here it is the citation. For individuals, authors, now the commonly used citations are a H index. Okay, what does that mean? If an author has published 3 articles, just to give you an idea of how to derive a H index, if an author has published 3 articles, Article 1 has 3 citations, Article 2 has 3 citations, and Article 3 has 4 citations. So how do we compute? So the H index will be for this author 3, because all the articles are published at least 3 times. You get? He has 3 articles published, They have different citations, but look at the lowest. The lowest is 3. So all the articles have at least 3 citations. And then we compute, we say the author has H index of 3. What about author B? This author has 6 articles published, and they have the citations vary. Article 1 has 3, Article 2, 4 citations, Article 3, 2 citations, Article 4, 9 citations, Article 6, 1 citation. And how do we compute? And then so we look at how many, okay, 3 citations, the H index of 4, when a total of 4 articles achieve a 4 or more citations. What about this example? The author has published 2 articles. Article 1 has 1,000,001 citations. Article 2 has 2,000,000 citations. You know, actually he gets a H index of 2, isn't it? The achievable H index is only 2, irrespective of how many million citations that he can have. So that is just give you an idea about the citations. The research gate has its own gauge to measure the citation index. The Google Scholar has its own citation index. So if you are a member of Google Scholar, you can have your account. So the more you publish, the Google Scholar will also provide the citation index. So we'll deal with that, the question and answer later. I will move to the second part, the research paper presentation in international journals. Do I have a full view, sir? Please confirm.
Yes, sir. We can see your presentation, sir.
Okay, thank you. So another important area in research for scholars is to present their papers in international conferences. Some of us may be very good at writing research articles, but it requires a special skill to present our papers among the experts, among the scholars in conferences. I have noticed in my experience, there are scholars who are ready to present their papers, but they do not know what content to include in the presentation and how their PPT or their Prezi should appear, and what is required, the standard requirement for a oral presentation. Because I have seen also some of my friends, they are ready to present their paper, but they are not even ready to prepare their reading glasses. When they are at on the podium, that's the time they will be looking for their reading glass and their script. So why I mention this, because in international conferences, you are given time limit. If you are given 20 minutes, you have to present all that you can during these 20 minutes. No extra time is given. So suppose you present your paper and then you are at the result section, you are not yet completed, your paper or your presentation becomes incomplete, sayang. So that should not happen. That's why we need to prepare our presentations. So we have two parts here. One is the Prezi of PowerPoint presentation. We will look at what should be the content of the PowerPoint presentation. And the second one is the appearance of the presentation. In section 2, we will also discuss about the oral presentation standards or the recommendations. Okay. On the content part of it, there are recommended number of slides. I will just explain what should be included in slide number 1, and then I will show you an example of a presentation. So we will move on with that arrangement. So on slide 1, we should present the flag of your country. Now, I have adapted this based on the ASEAN Conference of Interdisciplinary Research, which was held in Indonesia. Um, this is a unique one. The credit goes to them. So we must first present the flag of the country, the logo of a university selected by the presenter. Always be proud to present the flag of your country. Okay. I have represented Philippines at least 5 times in international conferences. And since I worked as a missionary in the Philippines, Philippines was like my homeland, motherland. So I was very proud to present the flag. And then we won many awards with my colleagues who are from Philippines. And then the second is the photo of the presenter. So make sure your photo must be taken by a professional photographer. Okay. And then if possible, use also makeup enhancer. Close-up colored, okay, enhanced on a Photoshop. So I think Filipinos are better at that. So I don't have to explain more on that. We know how to present ourselves. Okay. Then also placement of photo and symbols. The arrangement should be first your photo, the logo of your institute. If you belong to the Department of Education, present the logo of the Department of Education, or if you belong to any colleges or university, the logo of the colleges of the university, then the flag of the country. So it may look something like this. So you see, I used the national flag of the Philippines since I represented Philippines. And then my colleague was from India. So he came from another university from India. So it might look something like this. This is for international conference or presentations. In slide 2, you should also provide the iconic images, including GPS coordinates for location. Okay, for the university images. So maybe something like this, so that your viewers will be able to understand where you come from, what institute, and where it is located. If you tell them by words, they may not be able to grasp it. So it should be visual. Don't worry, if any of you need these guidelines for the research presentation, I can send you the copy of this PPT or even the protocol, okay, for a better presentation. I can share with you. So slide number 3, in slide number 3, introduce your lecture, okay, 12 to 15 words. It should have a title. You also should provide the contact information, including your email, your position, and where you come from, okay? It might look something like this. So provide your name, your position, what is your institute. If you have any open researcher contribution identifier, that is ORC ID number, you can also open an account, okay? Then provide your email. In slide 4, you can provide the background and objectives, okay? Limit your objectives to 3 to 4. And the background should not be written in paragraphs. I see sometimes in research conferences during the presentation that are they just copy, the authors just copy the thesis, the write-ups, and then they just paste it in the screen. It's very difficult to read. It's not a standard format. So present them in a bulleted, okay, format. Then explain. This is just your guideline. You can explain further. You can explain. So present your objectives, the main objectives. Then also in slide number 5. So why I'm mentioning this, use what should be in the slide number 1, what should be in slide number 2, because this will guide you to plan your presentation within the given time limit. Okay. So slide number 5, you can provide the framework or the theoretical underpinning. So this is something like this. Then you explain your conceptual framework. In slides 6 and 7, discuss or present the methodology or the methods that you used in your study. It can be in a diagram or it can be also in a bullet form. Present as many as pictures possible, meaningful pictures that give idea to the reader during the conference, that where the study was conducted. Okay, the institute's pictures. Use also the flags of the country if you are conducting any papers which have international importance. Okay. My study was a comparative study among Mount 14 schools in Asia. So there were 5 countries. We had participants from 5 countries. That's why you have here Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand, and Philippines school pictures are presented here. So you can also present your sample this way. So immediately when they look at the picture, they will have, okay, oh, so this is India, oh, this is Malaysia, oh, Philippines, okay? Easy to grasp. So you can, the methodology, you can also mention like this with your data gathering, research instrument, and how you did your data analysis. So just simple as that. Provide the important ones. Because we need to keep in mind the research presentation is not a very interesting one for the audience. The span of attention is very short. We might even notice some guests, special guests, we invite them in our schools or colleges. They won't be able to focus on the speeches. Immediately they pick up their mobile phones, they start meddling. This happens with the adults, it happens with experts. Okay, so a research presentation is not a very interesting activity to listen to by the audience, and therefore we must be careful in presentation. Otherwise, within 5 minutes, they will start sleeping, or they will, like children, the span of attention is very short. So slide 8 to 17, you can present your data. It can be in bulleted form, or it can be like this. I usually adopt this kind of methods to present my data. So it is visible, it is easy to understand, no need to explain to them. Okay. But it takes time to prepare. So some of us, if we do not have the expertise in technology, we can ask experts to help us. Okay. So you can use also any other techniques that will be looking more interesting to explain your findings or the results of your study. So these are the samples in presenting your results. But let's make sure it does not disturb in presenting our result. Then slides 18 to 19, we need to provide our conclusion. So state your conclusions. Just very in the important conclusions of your study. Based on your findings, you can present your conclusion. And slide 20, state your recommendations if applicable. Okay. So in slide 21, you can also present the impact or outcomes of your study. If you have published your paper, you can also mention that this paper was published in a journal. Like this one example, I mentioned that this paper was published. Then the bibliographic entries. Do not list the references, just flash them, okay, one shot. So as a whole, if you look at it, there are 22 slides. You can make a minimum of 22 to 25 slides in your presentation, and for a 20 minutes presentation. Okay, so the time is the essential. You may also, in my opinion, you may also exceed the number of slides, but provided you keep up the time. Do not exceed the time limit. The second aspect of the presentation is the appearance. So make sure that you follow certain rules for the appearance. The size of the font should be 20, okay, for text, and 32 for titles. So it might vary again. Choose carefully the letters that you use. Avoid all caps, okay, because this may give the audience a message that you are shouting. Try to use bullet form, especially when you present like the background and when you express. And then once you present it in bullet form, you are free to elaborate on your own. Okay, don't have to read. Please do not read in a research presentation, and do not look at the screen, the white screen, and then present to the audience. I will explain how to do that. Do not do that, looking at only the turn towards the white screen, okay, and then show your back to the audience. Also, please observe the 7x7 rule, 7 lines per slide, okay, 7 words per line. I use contrasting colors for background and text. Okay, if your background is light, use dark text. Background is dark, use light text. Yeah, I agree that the animation enhances the presentation, but please make sure it should not distract. And also keep in mind the time limit. For the oral presentations, you need to remember some of these ideas or recommendations that I'm going to share here briefly. A good oral presenter is able to articulate himself, okay? That should be clarity in your presentation, spontaneity, and eagerness. Do not act like a robot. So, which means it should be spontaneous, which means it requires practice. We have to practice. We ask students to practice, but for us, even instructors, teachers, scholars, we need to practice our presentation, because I believe presentation will make us perfect. Write everything you want to say and keep in mind the 20 minutes. Okay, keep in mind the 20 minutes. We can write everything you want to say. And synchronize your slides with your written speech, because what is in the research paper is different from what you are going to present. So we have to write our own script to present our paper. And then sometimes when the slide appears in the screen, we do not know where to start and where to finish. So that's the reason why I suggest that synchronize your slides with your written speech. Sometimes you can use also the index cards, right? Number the slides, okay? If you want to emphasize some important sentences or words, please make note in your index card and in your script. Rigors each section of your speech. The time that I went to Bali, Indonesia for a research conference, we had a lot of friends from Philippines, and I was with my co-author in the hotel room. but I will disappear 4:30 in the morning. I will go to a nearby ground. I will set my timer. I will start practicing at least 5 times. Want to hit that 20 minutes time limit. Practice, practice, and practice. And when I arrive at the hotel room, our room, my friend will ask me, where did you go? What happened to you? You disappeared. I told him only after at the end of the conference that when we received the best paper, the best presentation award, I said, this is the prize. So practice will make us perfect. So do not forget to practice. Rehearse each section of your speech, okay? And make sure you have the synchronization. Sometimes also try to use if you are using a pointer, practice that in your, when you have a rehearsal. Because some of us, when we start using the pointer, we don't know where to press the pointer. Sometimes it's not working, okay? And also practice with microphone. Try to use your own, what is this, the remote to operate your presentation, because sometimes presenters will be depending on the operator. Okay, can we move to the next slide? Can you go back? Another slide. So that will be distracting, time consuming, okay? As I mentioned, regards to memorize your piece and feel like you are standing in the United Nations General Assembly, that you are representing your country. Am I right? When we are there in an international conference, of course, we are representing our country and we must be proud. We must make our country proud of us. Take full advantage of dress rehearsal. This is also very important. Sometimes we are not aware. We practice, but when we go to the conference, we are not comfortable even with clothing. Okay, so try to have a dressed rehearsal. That will help you. That will give you confidence. Okay, and then you also present and have a rehearsal with your friends as an audience, because they might give you feedback and then you may redesign your presentation if needed. And visualize the event. In my case, before I go to a conference, I make sure, where is this conference place? How does this look like? Is it an auditorium? Is it open? Or is it properly ventilated? Is it with the aircon? Where is the podium? How am I going to approach the podium? Sometimes I go a little earlier to the conference room and then make my own preparations. So these are all small techniques, simple techniques, but very, very important, okay? So those are my few suggestions and recommendations to improve the oral presentation. And please give importance to the Prezi or PowerPoint, the content, and also the appearance of your PPT. I can share the protocol or the guidelines for very good international presentations later with the organizers. You can have a copy of them. Thank you, Sir Jose. That's all for me.
Okay, again, there you have it, Dr. Arul Ryan on his discussion about research publication in peer-reviewed journals and research publication. We will now proceed to the open forum. Again, we will cater to as many questions as possible depending on the availability of our time. We will select questions raised by our participants here in Zoom and in YouTube. And to those who will be tapped to ask questions, I would like you to introduce yourself first, the institution where you are affiliated with, and your question. We also have our own code in slido.com. This is normally intended for participants there in YouTube. Again, kindly go to slido.com and use the code 112251 if you would like to remain anonymous, for example, in asking a question. Okay, So again, we have a very good discussion from Dr. Arul Ryan. And in my case, for example, sir, no, personally, I had a chance to present and be able to attend several international conferences. At the time, for example, when I was in Vietnam, with the kind of discussion you provided to us, like on uniformity, on how to present your own paper, you will notice like that what we have there, what I had experienced in Vietnam at the International Sociological Society. Researchers vary in terms of way, in terms of manner of presentation, but generally we conform or stick to the guidelines provided by the organization. And siguro additional point that I would like to add here to our participants is always to stick and to complete everything in the time provided by the organization. I had experienced it once, like for example, we have one researcher who presented, he was interrupting his own discussion by throwing also questions to the participants while he was discussing, down to the point that his time is already done, causing us not to reach the part on his own conclusion, discussions, so on and so forth. The fact that there are many researchers also expected to discuss on the time provided by the organization. Okay, so again, we have it here, words of thank you from many of our participants here. Very informative and useful tips to present papers from Ma'am Irene E. Argilias. We have also here from Sir G. Daginota. Hello, sir, still watching. And thank you, sir, for a very informative discussion from Sir Roger Berganio. Okay, again, we are receiving lots of positive feedbacks coming from our participants. But then again, we are encouraging you to provide us or to throw any question to our speaker, Dr. Arul Ryan.
Sir, may I add?
Okay, yes, sir.
So those of you who are interested, maybe you need some help in the future in your publication or your presentation, you're free to contact me. No fees. I don't charge fees. Okay, I'm willing to help you and I'm willing to motivate you to involve in this research publication and presentation. Your growth is my growth. I want to be part of your growth.
Wow.
So you may have your email. You also can reach me in my Facebook Messenger account. Okay, yeah.
Okay, so again, napakagandang balita yan to all of the participants that we have here. That we have one, Dr. Arul Ryan, willing to volunteer, especially to critique your own paper. And a while ago, sir, so while waiting for the questions to appear, no? A while ago, you gave us an insight about submitting journals or submitting paper on one journal at a time. And you've also provided us an idea that there are journals that are more likely to provide you a response 6 months or longer, causing us, for example, for our paper to come to a point that it will more likely no longer be relevant, especially with conniving to the time itself. What about, sir, for example, on a possibility like in my case, I will forward my paper to the different journals, and the first to confirm will be the first that I will grab and I will approve also. What do you think of that, sir?
Yeah, I was also excited like you, sir. At my first paper publication, I submitted my journals, my articles to 5 journals. I think they have a kind of a system. The journals will find out. I received an email stating that you have submitted your journal to a certain journal, and then your paper is on review process, and therefore we reject your submission. Automatic.
Okay, so again,
It's not
thank you,
ethical,
sir.
and also it's not ethical to to submit to several journals at the same time, because it consumes their time and energy. Okay, and therefore it is recommended that we submit our articles one at a time. Just submit to one journal. If they do not accept, if they reject, then you may consider other possibilities.
Okay, so again, that's a good answer, sir. We have here a question appearing in slido.com. Good day, sir. Do you practice self citation in your published researches? And what is your stand about it? From JBT.
I don't give much weight to that, but I of course cite my papers in some of my research papers, but I don't take much credit about
Okay,
it. Yeah, that's what.
thank you, sir. We have here another question. Sir, if your submitted paper is rejected, can you ask the publisher reasons as to why it is rejected? What do you think of that, sir?
It, usually the publisher, the editor will provide the review comments and the basis for the acceptance or the rejection. They will be very polite.
Okay, thank you, sir. We have here a question from
Also,
Jackie.
yeah.
Yes, sir. You may continue, sir.
Recently, my wife submitted a paper in a research conference, and then finally, we just received that your paper was not included for the presentation. But my wife was asking, what is the reason behind? At least give us reasons why it was not accepted. So every author will have that excitement to know why the paper was not accepted. It is the duty of the editor or the journal to inform the author. Yeah, that's what I feel.
Okay. Actually, sir, there was an idea provided to me by my own professor in my PhD class. And we are normally provided of three options if it is approved, rejected, or open for recommendations. And he gave me an idea that there's normally though a point where you will know if your paper is still to be accepted or not, even if it is written by the reviewers as open for recommendations or revisions. Do you have like any idea, sir, as to how normally, like especially among known journals publications? Um, okay, can we
I
again?
lost you. I, I lost you, sir. Sorry.
Sorry, sir. Um, I would like again to go to provide you sir a little
Yes,
context
yeah,
of the question.
yeah, yeah,
My
yes,
professor
please.
in my PhD class once told me that there's normally a way for you to recognize if your paper is rejected or is no longer to be approved, even if it is on the option that it is open for revisions and recommendations. As normally we are provided of options like approved, rejected, or open for revisions. And speaking about open for revisions, you are now said that you are provided of a hint if they are still to cater your paper or not. What do you think of that, sir?
Generally, good journals will provide an opportunity for resubmission. As I mentioned, that some journals will give you an opportunity with the minor corrections, but do not take it that this paper is no longer eligible to be published. So you can still improve your paper.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
If
We have a question from Jackie from Western Institute of Technology, Iloilo. Sir, good afternoon. Thank you for the discussion on H index. How do we use impact factor in properly identifying which journal to submit to?
Generally, the one I explained to you, the impact factor H index is for the individual authors. So if generally also if the journal has a high level of index, it means it has a high impact factor. Yeah.
Okay. So again, thank you, sir. We have here from Celsius Watchon. Sir, what tips can you advise when you're asked by cynics in an international conference? How about by an aggressive audience member and like how to maintain rapport?
I think there will be moderators in the, like you, Dr. Jose, like you. So there will be moderators. They must be controlled. We need to follow certain disciplines. And we need not to be emotional as presenters. So stay cool. Stay cool. Receive questions. Nobody can demand from you. It is up to the the presenter to explain or present uh, the paper. Yeah.
Okay, so just to add up, so normally, sir, in an international conference, we have one who is standing as a chairman of a panel, who is also serving as a moderator. So he's normally the one like
Yes.
um, justifying and also assisting the one presenting in a paper or presenting a paper. We have it here from an anonymous person. Sir, can I still publish an article which I had made several years ago? I think it would be ideal also for our anonymous person to give us a specific like period or years on specific years kung kailan yon ginawa. What do you think of that, sir?
Since you mentioned the several years ago, the editors or the journals will look at the relevance of the paper. So what's more important is your title, is your paper is still relevant. So if it is relevant, then it will be ready for publication. That's the most important thing.
Okay. So he provided, or I don't know if he or she, the one who provided us a question told us it's 4 years. So I think 4 years medyo
That's
ano
okay
pa,
lang siguro.
uh,
Yeah.
not too long.
Yeah, not too long. You
Okay.
can contact
So
me,
we
whoever be the anonymous, sir, ma'am, you can contact me. Let's see how it fits into whether it has relevant. We can help you to publish. Yeah.
okay. So that's a very motivating words from Dr. Arul Rayan. Can you give us a tip on how to handle Q&A session in research presentation? I guess this also connected to the previous question. What do you think of that, sir?
Generally, during the Q&A session, we get excited, we are worried, we have fear. Just stay cool. As I mentioned, that the audience or the panel will ask you questions, then you can express your views, your like that you make your conclusion. So I have encountered 2 3 times. Um, I felt threatening to face that situation, but I learned that to be cool and then present and what you know. Okay, you are not going to impress anyone there. It is your paper, you are an expert in that field, and therefore just stay cool and then present your idea.
Okay. Thank you, sir. We have here another question. Sir, in the case of multiple authorship, what should be the order of the authors in the published article?
Um, well,
What do you think of that, sir?
well, you have to identify who is the primary author or the first author who and then he or she must be given the importance. That's the audience. So you can decide among yourself. You can discuss with your co-authors and then you can, according to or the based on their contributions, you can give them the order. Sometimes you have the asterisk that this is the primary author of the paper. Have you noticed? Okay, so you can decide.
Okay.
And
Thank you,
again,
sir.
in this point, I would like to add, um, please do not add co-author just for the sake of being included in the study. They must have significant contribution to the paper. He or she may be my friend, and therefore I should not add anyone. They should have a significant contribution to the paper. This is one of the research ethics that we should follow. Okay, if somebody reads your paper and makes some corrections, please don't include them as your co-author. Yeah.
Okay. So thank you, sir. Dr. Arul, some of my research articles were published in Google Scholar. Is the Google Scholar Scopus Index? Can I have the confirmation,
So
sir?
yeah, Scopus is another kind of an index. It has another kind of index. It's a high quality index. This is where I said it takes time for publication. I think Dr. Is it Dr. Romeo from College of Garcia, College of, not Garcia, Guimara State University. He has published papers in Scopus index. Google Scholar has its own index. Okay. not all Google Scholars are Scopus indexed. So for Scopus index, you need to identify the right journals. The process is longer. Now, with this ASEAN integration, as I mentioned that the journals, some of the journals in the which are accredited by the Commission on Higher Education is now under the ASEAN Citation Index. So which means these 10 countries in Southeast Asian nations, they have their own index, okay? I think the headquarters is in Bangkok. Now this ASEAN Citation Index will have a similarity index with Scopus, or maybe they will be integrated with a Scopus. That's the plan. But it might take time. But Google Scholar Index is different from the Scopus Index. Yeah.
Okay, so speaking about Scopus, sir, we have here Christian Paul Lazo. Sir, thank you for a very comprehensive discussion. In our university, only Scopus journals are recognized for promotion purposes. How can we know if we are publishing into a Scopus one?
Certainly, if you publish in Scopus journals, you will receive certificates, right? You have proof of certification, you have proof of your publication. But this is very high standard. This is since the CHED recognizes the CHED recognized journals. I don't know if this school, your college or university has a very high standard. If they recognize only the Scopus publication in Scopus index journals, they should also will verify whether you have really a publication in Scopus index journals.
Okay, so thank you, sir. Again, we are encouraging our participants to ask a question to Sir to Dr. Arul Ryan. We are also recommending 1 year to press the raise hand button if you would like to personally ask a question to Dr. Ryan. Anyway, we have here one, Sir Lito Hilidon. Sir Ryan, do you also accept historical research for review? Thanks. What do you think of that, Doc?
Okay, my specialization or my area of expertise is technical education, leadership, human resource management, organizational behavior. So if you have any topics related to this field, you may approach me. I'll be willing to help you, sir. Ma'am, yeah.
Okay, so thank you, sir. We have Ma'am Cecilia Balawing. Thank you so much, Dr. Rayan, for sharing to us your knowledge and research from Colegio de San Gabriel Arcangel, San Jose del Monte City, Bulacan, Philippines. Thank you so much po from MMSCU Lawag City, Ilocos Norte, from Nova Cabias. We have those who are asking for your email address, sir, especially those who would like to personally message you.
Okay, po. I'll just message send here.
Okay. Again, we have a great number of participants providing us positive feedbacks to Dr. Arul Ryan. Ma'am Cherry Wanya, thank you very much, Sir Ryan. I learned a lot today. Sir Clayton Caballos, thank you, sir. Topics were presented well. Okay, it's nice to hear it. And we have again the email address of Sir Arul Ryan is arulrayani2018@gmail.com. So we will be sending it also to you for you to have a copy of the email address of Sir Dr. Rayan. Can we have now concluding words from Dr. Arul Rayan?
Yeah, I'm very happy that you have created this culture for research. All the topics are highly relevant, and I'm very happy to be part of this this conference. And I appreciate there are how many participants? There are more than 200 today, and it shows your interest and enthusiasm. If you want to grow in research, whether you're writing a paper, you're publishing, or you're presenting, it requires passion. Without passion, you cannot pursue, we cannot continue, because it requires a lot of energy and time from each one of you as research scholars. So develop that passion, and then please share your expertise, your research expertise with your colleagues or your students. Try to inspire. So then this culture will spread. So that's my message. And then I wish everyone a successful endeavor in research, writing, publication, and presentation. All the best. God bless everyone.
And that ends our question and answer portion. Again, Sir Rayan is very open to answer to answer your questions, especially to those to queries that we failed to answer or those who are still appearing in Slido. Okay, now let's proceed to the giving of certificate. PISI 21, Philippine Institute of 21st Century Educators Incorporated, Zaraga, Iloilo, Philippines awards this Certificate of Recognition to Dr. Arul Ryan for imparting his invaluable time, resources, and expertise as resource speaker on the topic research publication in peer-reviewed journals and research presentation during the conduct of National Virtual Conference for Research with the theme Retooling Research Skills for Professional Credibility and Integrity in the Academe, accorded the 17th day of July 2021 via Zoom video conferencing, live streamed on POMMI YouTube channel and PISI 21 Facebook page. Signed, Ricky A. Kibinko, MATM, LPT, Virtual Conference Director. Signed, Emijan P. Indonila Palmani, MED, LPT, National President, PISI 21. Again, virtual round of applause to Dr. Arul Ryan. Sir, we are looking forward to seeing you on future gatherings of the PISI 21.
Thank you, sir. It's my pleasure to be part of this organization.
So before we finally close our conference, let me read to you some announcements. To earn a certificate of participation, you must sign up the evaluation or attendance form that are posted in Zoom, in our Facebook page, and our YouTube channel in POMMI. The certificate of participation and the PDF copy of Dr. Arul Ryan's presentation will be sent to your respective email right after this event upon verification of your attendance. Make sure that you are to receive 4 certificates of participation and 1 certificate of completion if you've attended 4 sessions of our 2-day conference. Paid participants who didn't receive their certificate of participation within a day and also the certificate of completion, please email to centuryeducator1920@gmail.com or centuryeducator21gmail.com. To our participants who applied for membership, the amount of 180 pesos will be added for LBC delivery in case the applicant wishes to get the original documents. Membership for at least 3 organizations is free of LBC delivery charge. We will follow the mailing address stated in your registration form, or you can email us for your preferred mailing address. To those who failed to make it live can still have the chance to get their certificate by watching the recorded video of the conference on YouTube and Facebook. Just sign up the evaluation or attendance form as a requirement. Before closing our session, allow me to provide citation and congratulations to our institutions with the most number of participants. In 5th place, we have University of Northern Philippines, Tamag, Vigan, Ilocos Sur. Congratulations and thank you to our participants from University of Northern Philippines. In 4th place, we have Lope Tiquial Senior Central Elementary School, Poblacion, Libungan, Cotabato. Thank you to our participants from Libungan, Cotabato. In 3rd place, we have Cebu Technological University and its satellite campuses. Thank you to our participants, researchers from Cebu Technological University. 2nd place, we have St. Mary's College of Tagum Incorporated, Coronadal City. Thank you to our participants from St. Mary's. And finally, 1st place, the institution with the most number of participants are coming from New Era University in Central Avenue, New Era, Quezon City. So again, we are looking forward to seeing you again on future gatherings of PISI 21. Before closing our session, I would like to grab this opportunity to thank my fellow members and officers of PICE I-21. This conference will not be possible without the organizers and coordinators. We would like to thank all of the presidents of the different professional organizations who made this conference possible. We also have our partner teachers and coordinators. We have our International Affairs Director, Dr. Cyril De La Puente, our Virtual Conference Director, Mr. Ricky A. Kibinko, and the ever-active President of PICE I-21, Ms. Emijan Indonila Palmani. We also have Sir Jerry Hobacon, Mr. Charles Isulan, Mr. Chito Tomiñez, Mr. John Michael Sonsa, Mr. Jose Jean Montecado, and Mr. Adam Donald Junio. To our colleagues in Iloilo Science and Technology University, my classmates, and all of the 4 speakers, thank you. Most importantly, we would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to all of you participants for making this event possible and successful. See you on the next gathering sponsored by our organization. We are formulating for a 3-day conference next month. Our monthly webinars and conferences facilitated are a confirmation that PICE I-21 remain committed to answer the challenges brought to us by the pandemic. Kindly check at our official social media page and channel for details. May I request everyone now to kindly open your camera for a quick photo op. Okay, can we have now the technical committee to facilitate?
Okay, so good afternoon. So we have 8 panels in our Zoom view. So please remain smiling because we don't know kung saan tayo na panel. Okay, so sa panel 1, okay, so ready 1, 2, 3, and smile. And keep smiling lang, guys. So another page 2 or panel 2, ready 1, 2, 3, and smile. Again, keep smiling lang. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, panel 3, 2, 3, and smile. Okay, so next page. So 1, 2, 3, and smile. Okay, so another one. Okay, so last page. So 1, 2, 3, and smile. Okay, so next panel. So 1, 2, 3, and smile. Okay, so next, and 1, 2, 3, and smile. Okay, so for the last panel, so 1, 2, 3, and smile. Okay, so thank you, guys.
Okay, again, stay safe, everyone. God bless and congratulations. Again, I am Mr. Jose Brian Di Casella. Stay safe. Congratulations.
Thank you
Thank you,
po.
sir. Thank you
Thank
po.
you, sir.
Welcome.
Congratulations po.
Maraming salamat. Thank you.
Sir,
Maraming
salamat
salamat
po.
Thank you. Thank
Thank you
you.
po.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir.
Maraming salamat po.
Welcome, ma'am. Salamat din.
Thank you so much po, sir.
go when you say love me. I need a break, boy. I'm bored to hear your fake voice. I'm gonna follow my way. I know your intentions. Yeah, some attention. Don't want hesitation.